chance meeting that I had over 20 years ago. So it's taken decades for this to bloom and come into fruition. You never know. You just never know when something's going to just spark. I think having an open, optimistic mindset can open up conversations that otherwise wouldn't happen.
Welcome to the Merseyway Innovation Centre podcast, where we explore the power of unexpected encounters and spontaneous connections. Join us on our journey as we delve into the world of casual collisions, those chance encounters and unexpected conversations that have the power to redirect our paths and shape our destinies. Get ready to explore how a single moment can change everything.
So welcome to the Merseyway Innovation Centre, and today I have another guest, and her name is Emma, and I'll let you introduce yourself. Who are you?
Thank you, Rob. My name is Emma Clark, and I'm a local business person, and I work with people all over the world. I'm a voiceover. So you can hear me on commercials, you can hear me on radio stations, you can hear me in how-to videos, you can hear me on telephony, public transport systems, loads of different things.
So we might have met you already.
You almost certainly will have done. And for that I really apologise. Because it can be a mixed experience, can't it? When you phone somewhere and it's press 1 for accounts.
Yeah, the irritating voice thing.
That's me.
Oh, well, you know, we've all got to do a job. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm also a writer and a composer as well.
Of music?
Of music, yes. Contemporary classical music.
Great. So you've obviously... So what did you study then when you were
Well,
studying?
I didn't. I set up my business when I was 17 initially and ran my business for, forever, working in all sorts of different sectors and all sorts of different things. And then it was during lockdown that I thought, actually, I really want to learn how to do music. So I didn't have an undergrad degree. And I thought, I need some help. I need to know how to write music because I'm a bit of a lone wolf. I don't really know what I'm doing. I need some guidance. So I contacted the Royal Northern College of Music, and Adam Gorb, who was then the head of composition, recommended a teacher to me. So I started having the lessons. And then my teacher said, why don't you do a master's? And it was like, oh my God, do you think I could? Do you think they'd let me? So I did a master's degree and then completed that. And then they said, why don't you do a PhD? And it was like, oh my God, do you think I could? Do you think they'd let me? And so now I'm doing a PhD at the Royal Northern College of Music in contemporary classical composition.
Wow. So that's all in like 4 years?
Yeah, exactly. It's moved so fast. It's all since lockdown. It was September 2020.
So you must have played musical instruments before that.
Yeah, I play classical guitar quite badly, I have to say, but I love it. But I hear music in my head. You know, I hear classical music. I hear all sorts of different instruments and ensembles. So I just thought, what would happen if I started to write it down? So I started to write it down, and then it's just sort of become a thing now.
It must take on a whole new meaning when you have to write it down and think about the language of it.
Yeah.
From actually being a consumer of it and actually being a person that plays it.
Yes, exactly. For a composer, and certainly a classical composer, you have to sort of have at least a rudimentary knowledge of how each instrument works, what its range is, what you can do with it, so that when you write your score, it's actually playable.
Yeah.
Because if it's not playable, then you're going to have a very difficult rehearsal with a room full of musicians.
A lot of musicians look at you going,
this won't work,
another
mate.
one.
This is not going to happen.
Another rookie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you've had that word.
Yeah.
Right, so you're local.
I am local, yes.
But you've not lived in Stockport all your life.
No. I'm a relative newbie. So I used to live in Bowden. Bowden.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Bowden, very
nice.
South Manchester. Yeah. And then my son is at the Royal Ballet School in London, and so we thought we need to be somewhere closer to the train to cut down his travel time and make it a lot easier for him. So we thought Stockport. So we moved to Stockport, and honestly, it's just fab.
It is fab. Well, we think it's fab.
Love the atmosphere in Stockport. It's so... Honestly, literally parked my car to come here, made 3 friends.
Really?
Yeah, just people,
Stockport,
chatting. Yeah. This is amazing. Amazing place.
The interesting thing there is that you've moved for your son because it's better connected. We are
Yes.
so well connected here in Stockport.
The infrastructure is amazing, and it's improved as well since we've been here. I mean, now with the interchange, that's just
But I mean, the train has always been there. But why for so long was Stockport so downtrodden and so on a low, when actually the infrastructure's always been there. Really, it's always been fantastic. So you talk about your family. You've got a son.
I have a son and a daughter.
Who's a ballet dancer.
My son is a ballet dancer.
An athlete.
Yeah, he is. He's an elite athlete. And he's just about to start his contract, in the summer, with Dutch National Junior Company. So he's done really well. And I have a daughter as well who's just about to graduate from Manchester University.
Proud mum.
It's incredible.
So does that mean your house is quieter now than it would have been in the past?
Kinda, yeah. Although my daughter still lives with us.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend often comes to stay, so we're not that quiet yet.
So it kind of bulges a bit every now and again.
The fridge is empty. That's how you know that the house is busy.
I can imagine. Yeah. We had a previous guest on, and I was talking to him about, my kids are getting to that age now where I'm having to take tips from people like you, and I said, what happens then? Do they move out? Do they stay home? Do they come back?
It's difficult. I'm finding it really difficult because, your job as a parent is to bring up people who are independent functioning adults, and then when you do and they are loose in the world, it's like, oh my god, it's scary actually becoming a parent.
I think for a mum that's hard as well, because a mother is so maternal and wants to make the home safe and stay here, and when you're
totally.
And a father's always looking I need to make sure that you're able to go into the world.
Yes.
So we have a different mindset to them leaving in a way. Not that we want to see them go, but we just want to make sure they're safe when they go.
When they do,
so
exactly.
you're always preparing them.
It's really
an interesting dynamic between the two.
Yeah.
So obviously we're in the Merseyway Innovation Centre today.
Yeah, and what a fantastic space it is as well.
It is great. And you've used it, haven't you, as co-working?
Yeah, I have indeed. And you very kindly showed me around the whole facility, and I was absolutely blown away.
It is one of those resources that you say, how is this in Stockport? This is great. Everyone comes, wow, it's so big. And also, it's so nice.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
And everyone comments on the coffee machine, obviously. We've already talked about the coffee this morning.
Very good coffee, I have to say. Very, very good coffee.
It is very good coffee. So... The premise of the place is that we want people to be together, and we want people to collaborate and connect. And this is a place where chance connections and casual collisions, as this podcast is called, happen.
Yeah.
So the question that we always like to ask our guests on the podcast is, when have you had one of those casual collisions where you think, I'm on this path, and then all of a sudden you just get knocked onto another path? And sometimes it might not be a good path, but often the ones you remember are the good ones. And it might not be that person comes with you. It might be that person's just a person in the street, and they just give you an inspirational idea. Sure. But what stories do you have of that?
I have loads actually.
Right, we've got all day. Go for it.
I'm going to choose the best ones. I think the one that's most pertinent to my life now is a chance meeting that I had over 20 years ago. So it's taken decades for this to bloom and come into fruition. You never know. You just never know when something's going to just spark from a meeting. So at the time, I was the station voice for Classic FM. The voice that you hear saying, this is Classic FM.
Oh, okay.
Smooth classics, etc., that kind of stuff. So I was one of those voices. And most of the sessions were recorded remotely. So I wasn't there in London in the studio. I was in my house in Altrincham at the time. So I didn't know who was in the room. I didn't know who was in the control room at the studio at the other end who was recording me. But I was aware that in the room was an intern who the producer that I was working with said, this guy is here just kind of watching to see how these kind of sessions work. So no problem, cool. Did the session, did the next session over a series of weeks. And then this guy was taken on as a junior producer. And he was just kind of there in the background. I didn't really have a lot of contact with him because it was really the main branding guy that I was dealing with. But then last October, I had a message on LinkedIn from this man saying, we used to worked together. You may not remember me, but I was in the background in these sessions. And I've followed your career throughout all this time, and I've listened to your podcast, and I've listened to the voice work that you do, and I'm aware that you now write music, and I've read your books. And I'd really like to talk to you to see what opportunities there are for us to work together. So I was like, oh my God, because now this man, I can't quite tell you who he is yet because it's not been made public, but he is a key decision maker in a big organisation, and he's now offered me a fantastic opportunity that begins, the first part of it is at the end of August, and then it begins properly in October, so I can't quite talk about it yet. But it's,
we will put links into your website or any contact that we can get, so people can follow you and see and see where this comes out.
Exactly. But it is going to change my life. It's going to change my life.
He started as an intern, and he's become really really successful. But you impressed him at that level, and he took it with him. So it's a credit to the way that you work and the professional way you work, but also credit to him for remembering, and probably why he's got to where he is.
He is phenomenal. Honestly, he is phenomenal. And what he's done across his career is extraordinary, and I just feel so fortunate to be part of it in a small way.
And I suppose that's a job as well. I mean, you were probably quite pleased to do that job, but it was a job that that you didn't have to take, and it was a chance kind of thing that you got it, and you were there, and he was there at the same time. That's a great story.
And then on social media, he's seen my updates, and he's kind of followed what I'm doing. And who knew? Fantastic.
So what other stories do you have where you've bumped into people?
One from this week.
Oh, great.
This very week, I was at a conference at the Royal Northern College of Music. It was the Postgrad Research Conference. So it's an academic event. Terrifying, actually, to kind of come out of your wheelhouse and to go into an academic context and present your research to an academic audience. It's a whole different ballgame. But it was fab, absolutely fab. And I just arrived early on the second day and happened to get talking to this guy who was also doing a PhD. We were talking. Turns out we knew the same people. Turns out we've got the same interests. And he said that he's really interested in creating a track that uses the spoken word. And that's obviously what I do. And this guy is a record producer. And he's worked with Prince. And currently he's working with Peter Gabriel. And does an awful lot at Real World in Bath. And he's asked me to make a music track with him. So I got home from the conference that night, recorded some audio, wrote it, recorded it, sent it to him, and he's now making it.
Oh, wow, that was quick.
And that was just in the cafe that I met him.
The key thing that you said there at the start was you got there early. Often, I'm not saying you should always get places early.
I'm paranoid, I have to get there early.
Well, when I get places early, the thought that will go through my mind sometimes is, I don't want to go in now because then I have to speak to people. When you're tired and you just... And actually, you made the decision to go, let's go in early. And I don't know whether you made that decision thinking, I might meet someone. It might lead to something. Well, good. Because
totally.
I think this is one of the things that I wanted to pick up on is what strategies can you put in place to make these chance make? People say, oh, lucky people are just lucky people. They're not.
No.
You don't always make your own luck. The luck does come your way and chance comes your way and things come into your path.
Yes.
But you can manufacture a whole lot of it. So what do you do? And what things or what tips would you give someone?
Yeah, okay. Well, I think what's worked for me is getting there early and having the time to chat to somebody, to start a conversation with them. But also I think it's a mindset thing. I think having an open, optimistic mindset can open up conversations that otherwise wouldn't happen. I think body language, being open, having eye contact with people, just appearing approachable can go a long way to starting these kind of conversations. Because again, at this conference this week, the other thing that came out when we were sort of mingling and having conversations in between sessions was people buy people. People want to collaborate with people who are good to get on with. And that really came out very strongly. Even all these people who are very experienced musicians, very experienced composers, all academics, their top priority was working with people who are decent to work with, nice to work with, approachable, good-humoured and open. And I think if you're going into a situation where you're meeting new people, if you can project that kind of energy and that kind of openness and clarity of, I'm here, I want to meet people, I'd love to collaborate, I'd love to hear about somebody else's life, being interested and curious about other people can be incredibly effective, I think.
Do you think that's a confidence that comes with as you get older? I don't mean you get older now. No, but you know what I mean.
I'm 19.
I feel. Yeah. What are you saying? Yeah. No, but I feel like I can understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I feel like that. But I don't know if I'd have thought that in my 20s.
I had to. I was self-employed, so I had no choice but to
Put yourself out there. Yeah.
Really think about how I was going to meet people and take advantage of these chance meetings. Because when I look back across my career, everything that's been pivotal really has come out of what was seemingly a chance meeting or some kind of serendipitous collision of destinies. I don't know, something kind of almost woo-woo about it sometimes, that sometimes you've just gelled and the planets have aligned in some way that have meant that you've been able to connect with somebody who has opened up your life in all sorts of incredible ways. But I think it's a mindset thing. I don't think there's necessarily an age limit.
Yeah, I think probably you learn more skills as you get older, and you learn. I was talking to a friend about the story you told me actually, because we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
And I was telling him this story.
Were you?
Yeah, and because he'd at work had a situation where a boss had a phone call from, he works at a school, a parent had phoned and said, "This guy's great. Your teacher, you've got, your teaching assistant guy. He's fantastic, And he was saying, I don't know where it will go. And I said, look, it doesn't matter.
Go with it.
Yeah, you don't
overthink it.
You don't know where it's going to go.
Exactly.
That's
the
thing.
joy of it, I think.
You look at that relationship you had with that intern all those years ago.
Yeah.
You weren't even thinking about him. You didn't even know if you impressed him.
Yeah.
But the more seeds that you throw out, the more good you do, the more smiles you have, the more you're, like you're saying, body language, the more you are a good person with people.
Yeah.
That does grow, and it does. Sometimes it just hits concrete, but sometimes it hits soil and it grows, and I think that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, and being prepared to listen to people, and also really big thing, no matter what rank somebody is,
it's important.
You treat them just the same as if they were your best customer. Mm-hmm. You're not sycophantic, you're not false. There has to be an authenticity to how you are with people, but you've got to treat everybody as if they're your best customer.
Yeah, and that means mixing with everybody.
Yeah,
that
totally.
means. I was talking to someone today about they're in a really high-powered job, and then the other part of their life, they're fostering children, and you'll see it on one of our podcasts, and actually it helped the fact that he was dealing with, the nuts and bolts of life, of babies and kids and trouble.
Yeah.
And then I think that's part of being a parent as well. It's not just fostering, but you've one point you're making sandwiches and your child's complaining about it. The next point you're doing a deal with someone that's a bit high powered. If you did all the time, you could get quite carried away yourself. But that humility that comes from getting down on the ground and mixing with different people can bring about that humility as well.
Absolutely.
But as you can hear, it's really noisy today. I think we've got a meeting going on in there. There's a lot of people and they're being really noisy, but it's great. We love it. It's the coffee. It sends them bonkers. And we're really looking forward to having you in here and mixing with people, because having people like you as well starts a culture of people being smiley and being open and having conversations. And it means, right, when I go to the coffee machine, someone's going to talk to me.
Exactly.
And that shouldn't be intimidating. That should be like, good, what's the conversation I'm going to have now?
Yeah, exactly.
Who am I going to meet that's going to change things?
Yes.
Maybe just hit that path a little bit differently for me. So we're really pleased to have you here, and we're so chuffed that you came and did this
absolute
podcast
pleasure.
As well.
Absolute
and
pleasure.
it's great hearing your voice as well.
Oh, bless you.
Because you've got a lovely voice. So I think our listeners will be like really, really pleased to have you on there. And then we go, isn't that the lady from the from the tube, or from that advert I listened to? Yeah. So Thank you, Emma. And we'll put some stuff in the post when we send this out, some information about what your work and stuff, so people can follow and find out about
what it
that
is.
story.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. We hope this discussion has ignited a spark within you, an urge to finally have the conversation that you've been putting off, or perhaps the courage to reach out to someone new and explore where that connection may lead. Remember, it's through these connections that collaboration thrives. So don't hesitate to take the first step towards connection. Together, we can forge new paths and unlock endless possibilities.